Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's live stream episode of Books and Bounty TV. Hi, I'm your host, Stephanie Henderson, here in the virtual Books and Bounty TV She Suite studio. Tonight, we have some very special guests, some previews about the upcoming season. And here at home, the days are getting shorter, the nights are longer, and there's a crispiness to the air that you can almost taste it. So, to help us transition into the new season, we have with us tonight very special guest author Tessa Stone. Tessa Stone is a writer of dark paranormal romance. So I just want to give a reminder out there that our late night Tuesday shows are not entirely always suitable for young readers, but when we repost our highlights to YouTube and other platforms like BeMoreNews.com, we ensure that those moments are edited down a bit. In part two of the show, I'll share a little bit of my November TBR pile here. It is slowly rising. And this season, we're going to be taking a look at comic books and graphic novels. And so, as Mother Nature welcomes a new season, and we take on a new adventure, I'm taking on a new adventure with the graphic novel. Here in my household, the teen, my fella are big comic book, graphic novels, and manga readers. So I thought, why not give it a try? Sticking with some of the genres that I really like, such as science fiction, Afrofuturism, historical fiction, and many more. So we're getting excited. I'm getting excited about that. So make sure after our interview and chat with Tessa that you stick around for part two of the show. We also do a little bit of chatting then. I get to know what you guys are reading tonight. And you can give me recommendations on some featured bookish things that should be on Books and Bounty TV. But first, I'm going to give a special shout out to some of my partners, longtime friend and mentor over at BeMoreNews.com, home of the Emmy nominated Donnie Glover Show. Every morning, weekday morning at 9 a.m., you can tune in. It's also home of the Joe Mann's Black Wall Street Award. The culminating annual soiree is upcoming in December. We'll talk a little bit more about that in part two of the episode tonight as well. I also want to give a special shout out to Dr. LJ Speaks of JNF Enterprises. We're planning some bookish affairs upcoming, so stay tuned, stick around for future information about what's upcoming with JNF Enterprises. Now, let's get started. On tonight's show, we have Tessa Stone. Author of the Winter Moon series, including Taming Kane, which I have here and just finished reading over the weekend, Charming Gabriel, which just published only a couple weeks ago, and some more novels in the upcoming series. Tessa is a mom, an MFA student, and now an upcoming rising star in the world of paranormal romance. With her, we'll enter a world of alpha male shapeshifters, a hunted woman who is pulled toward a fated love, and a Michigan skyline freshly painted in a coat of white winter snow. It's the perfect blend of ice and spice to prepare you for those long nights ahead. So, welcome, Tessa. Thanks so much for joining.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, I have to ask first before we get into things. Um, do you have time to do any extra reading? If so, what are you reading today, or what have you been up to? What have you been reading? And I'm wonder if you have even the time set aside to get out of the Winter Moon world and see what else is out there. What's on your shelf tonight, Tessa?
Um, Mostly just some of my friends' works. Melody Lynch, I read a lot of her books,
Mm-hmm.
and El Medeiros has started to journey into paranormal romance. We're actually doing a collab together, so I've been reading their work.
And I'm gonna put some of those authors in the chat. Can you say their names one more time for me, Tessa?
Melody Lynch
Uh huh.
and El Medeiros.
Spell that last name for me.
El L's last name. Okay, I gotta look it up because.
Okay. Well, we'll put those in the chat later.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put reading. We'll put some more in the chat later. And for those watching, if you want to if you have questions for Tessa or myself, I'll be checking the chat every so often so that we can engage with some of the viewers as well. Right. So I was looking you up, Tessa. I try to stalk all my author friends and special guests of Book and Bounty, and I was learning about a little bit about your background. And I know you're in Michigan now. You grew up in Michigan as well.
Yes, I was born and raised in Detroit.
So tell me about growing up in Detroit and where did your spark for reading and writing begin?
Um, so I grew up on we call it the west side of Detroit,
Hmm.
and my spark from writing, I guess it came from I'm gonna say about sixth grade.
Hmm.
Um, I had got a Scholastic, one of those Scholastic like flyers where you could order a bunch of books.
Girl, doesn't
I
know a
gave it to
lot
my
of it
grand.
starts there for us, those scholastic book fairs.
Yes, my grandfather. I handed it to him with a list of books that I wanted. I had never really read, like sat and read a novel or a novella, and he bought them all, and so I read them all. But they were Goosebumps by R.L. Stein. And so I read all of them, and I was a big fan. And I loved the way he would world build and things like that. And I wanted, I said one day I'm gonna have a backlist just as big as his is huge. So I got a long way to go. I only have two books.
And with R.L. Stein, he found a rhythm,
Yes,
a
he did.
formula that sometimes he would break, because being the master that he was, he would learn when he would need to break them sometime. And you mentioned a novella, and I'm picking up the book right now because it made me think about the pace of your story, and it moves very much like a movie in that way, right? You're wanting to turn the page. What's happening next? Oh my God, I can't believe that had happened. Let me hurry up and get to the next page. And I really enjoyed the pace of the story. So when did you start thinking about writing professionally? Like when did you decide that this is something academically I wanted to pursue, or and started to make it your profession?
So it's been at the works since 2023.
Mm-hmm.
In January 2023, um, I won a scholarship to this really big writers conference. It's called 20 Books to 50K. Um, I applied for it. I didn't think I was going to win, but I did. And they flew me out to Vegas. They paid for my room. And it was a 5 day conference. I sat there and I soaked up all the information. I networked with six-figure and seven-figure authors, took notes, listened to everything they had to say. And one of the keys that a lot of the higher earning authors they pushed was you need to build a universe, you need to build a world. And so I built a story bible that took me a very long time to make. And
So we have
then
a
I had this.
so go
Oh no,
go
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, finish your story. I'm going to ask you about that story Bible in a minute.
And then I had the story bible, and now I said, well, where do I start with it? And before I even started writing, I went and back to my notes from when I was in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed to do market research. So, where do I put these books? So, I needed to study the market and also understand like the terminology of the genre. And I did a lot of studying. And I also went to Melody, who she has a very big backlist. I think it's about 50 books now. Um, and I got some help from her. And so I started writing the story, and I was very hesitant about it in 2024. It was in, I started writing Taming Cain in April
Mm-hmm.
of 2024, and I was very nervous about publishing it. And it was Melody and Elle that sort of pushed me to just do it.
So you just started writing this book in April of this year.
Yes, I did.
You just got into writing in a proper, more serious way, probably within the last 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
So I that just goes to show you, everyone, if you have that intention. We were talking about this. This is a little while back at the Baltimore Book Festival here, where there was a particular panel that had representatives from women writers collectives, and they're talking about having the audacity to just put the pen to paper and put it out there. And so kudos to you, Tessa, for just having that drive to keep going, and so also understanding where you needed the knowledge. Because even me, I've been telling folks as I've been talking about the show tonight, that I'm not a romance reader, right? And I don't want to criticize any type of romance work in an ignorant way because I don't understand the tropes or the different tools and mechanisms that romance writers and romance stories have that could be different from my normal genres. But I have a question: if any of the self-publishing authors are out there or folks looking to become a writer, Tessa mentioned two things that I wanted to point out. One was, making sure you have the right preparation and tools in your toolbox. There was three of them, and so we'll talk about that story Bible. The second was the support team and having the right folks in your corner, either writer friends, editor friends, folks, bookish folks in the network that can help not just put you forward, but give you the information that you need or point you in the right direction, as with Tessa's writer friend Melody Lynch. And the third one was doing your research, understanding where to find your audience. Tessa, I think, found her people wholeheartedly on Book Talk. She has taken off there. That is how I found Tessa, was through Book Talk and word of mouth. So those three things, I want to drive home. Tell me a little bit more about that story Bible and what that journey was like for you.
So, the story Bible took research in itself before I built it. Um, who was the author that I gotta look her up because I don't remember her name, but there was an author that she told me she referenced the comic books, DC and Marvel, how big this world is, and that's completely. But she said that if you build a world, your own world, you can make multiple books, and you can include characters in books that you introduce into the next book,
Mm-hmm.
and if there's a way that you do it, the way you introduce the character to build enough intrigue to make them want to go and buy the book. So when you build a backlist,
Mm-hmm.
say I've got 10 books on Winter Moon, they'll read that first book, and then you'll see Gabriel at the end. Oh, I want to know who he
What
is.
adventure is he about to go on, girl?
Yes. So then there's Claiming Gabriel. And in Claiming Gabriel, I introduced two new characters. I introduced Jacob, and then I introduced King Amir. And now they have their own books. And there's enough curiosity in his book that makes you want to go and read the other ones.
You know
So,
whose story I'm really interested in learning about, and those or the vampire witch lesbian couple, Leia
oh,
and oh
Jade
goodness,
and Leah. Yeah.
yes, those two. They seem like a dynamic duo. Like they need to have like a sitcom, like a daytime sitcom or something. Those two. I would like to see, like, even if I don't even of course I don't know if they have enough to have a full focused um book around them, but like some sort of side adventure. Tessa also has extra content that you can get as part of signing up for her mailing list online. So make sure you guys go check out authortessastone.com. Did I get that right, Tessa? It's author Tessa
Yes,
Stone,
Tessa
right?
Stone. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's just tessastone.com.
Tessastone.com.
Yes.
Tessastone.com. Um, so, Tessa, you are a mom of two daughters. How does storytelling, not this kind of storytelling, of course, but how does storytelling in general, would you say, has played a role as in motherhood as you being a mom?
Um, I would say I would say that I'm living my dream. Like I love being a mother to my girls, and but we all have that one thing that we just want to do in life, that one thing we want to check off our bucket list, and for me that was writing. So, I think that my writing inspires my daughters because I show them all the time, look at what mommy, look at the money's mommy's making. And they're like, oh, or, mommy's a bestseller. And, so they want to write their own books now. And I'm going to help them eventually.
That would be so much fun, and telling their own stories, passing the baton. I know that seeing the love of reading in my own child has really made me proud as a parent, and being able to pass down um, the gift of storytelling, and the
Yes.
love of it to your kids is something is wonderful. So So when you are, we were talking about building your bookish community, and when I talk to authors, I like to ask them about who are the writers and what are the works that you look back to again and again. You mentioned some of your writer friends. Are there any other authors or books that you tend to turn to for inspiration?
Um, so when I wanted to read Black paranormal romance, I couldn't find a lot of it, and that bothered me a lot. And so a lot of it's like niche based too, even in the Black paranormal romance. Some of it is urban, some of it is not. And the authors that I would look to a lot, like I'm a big fan of Jessica Cage. I would read a lot of her books. Um, and who else?
Some of that.
Yeah, it's Jessica Cage, Melody Lynch. I actually started off as a fan before we ended up becoming like author friends, and now we're collaborating together. Um, and there are other ones like Casey Mills. Like they don't
Okay.
specifically write paranormal, but they'll have some paranormal in their backlist. Who else? And there's also Natavia. She is very big with paranormal
Okay.
romance, and so I look back on some of those authors.
So I have to make sure you send me the full list when our conversation is over so we can get those added to the November reading in Rex list. So
Yes.
in your book, there are alpha male characters. These characters are the shapeshifters can be the supernatural characters are as diverse as the human species. But the particular protagonist in this story is a clan of wolf shifting men, the Zor clan, and the main character in the first book, Cain, uh, is this strikingly gorgeous man. If you go to tessastone.com, I may bring that up in the second part of the show tonight, Tessa, and see some of the rendered character images on the site. Girl, those men, oh my goodness. And considering like those alpha characters, is there a muse or muse in your life that you look to, and or something that you're looking for women to learn from, particularly the male characters in your stories?
Well, so
Because I'm gonna get into Tammy in a minute. Because oof, Tammy got on my nerves. She didn't get on my nerves. Oh my goodness, Tammy. But
um, I don't know. I went by like a design of what I wanted. How maybe I'm manifesting a man, but I went by just a design. This pack of wolf shifters, they were brought up in Kenya, raised by their father before he died in the Great War, and that pack in particular is a very old pack. That bloodline goes back to the Mesopotamian era with King Amir, and they were just that bloodline was just raised to treat women in a proper way, to provide for, love, and protect. So that is just what that pack stands by. And so he comes off alpha, but he really, I when I wrote him, he spoke a lot of how he wanted to do his duty. That was just something he put focus on, to provide, protect, and love.
mm-hmm.
And so that's just what he focused on. And that's that's really just how I crafted them. Just that pack in particular, they really stood on that duty because that's the way they were brought up.
So about that duty, and it's a bit of a double edged sword. Because and I'm gonna read this verbatim. This is some notes I wrote from my reading journal
Okay.
when I was reading this. It says, "The thing I love most about this romance is that I think both men and women. Oh, the thing I love most about generally in romance is that I think both men and women desperately want in their modern lives today that yearning and devotion from like those old R&B songs and things that we just don't seem to get in pop culture anymore." And so when leaving is, I said, when leaving is as easy as sending a text message in some cases, Kane makes it hard to leave. Well, and the fact that she can't. It's the fine line of possessive. If it's the fine line of that possessiveness that we all wish we felt in a mate, or becoming a prisoner of love. Um, And that was something that I think I struggled with. It's my duty, it's my to protect, but literally, these shapeshifters have to lay claim on their fated mates, and we won't get into all the details about how they lay claim to each other, at least with these shapeshifters. Um, but did you struggle with that as well? Because it seems like I know Tammy did, definitely, with the idea of this is a fated love versus, do I have any willpower in this? Do I have a choice? And that is a theme that went, on the surface through that. I don't know if it's a surface level, but through on the romance theme, right? But also you brought in a lot of the social climate, considering the day of the day, what today is. I hope everybody went out there and voted. I am actually disassociating from that right now, Tessa,
Same.
right? Because you talk about this in the story. You talk about the uh, the women's right to choose, right? That is a theme that lays itself, pretty heavily throughout the book. And I appreciated not only the social commentary, but the personal struggle that the main character, Tammy, was going through with it. So, how did you, writing that into story, considering our social political climate that we're in right now, what are some of those difficult conversations that you're struggling with? You have two daughters. How did you grapple writing that in, incorporating that into the story?
um, when writing Taming came, I wanted to offer a little bit of realism and like most like the fated mate is really just a trope. Literally, it's the claiming process when you're writing about fated mates. That's the trope. They see each other, it's a scent or it's a look, and they are bonded together forever. But I wanted to design my world in a way where um there was some realistic grapples with that. Like, there was some realistic struggles with that. She's in a world where she's already struggling with losing her rights, and then she
Yep.
gets drug off the winter moon, where now she can't leave because she's bonded to this shifter, and fate is their god.
I'm trying to go back to some of my earlier notes. I'm flipping through my reading journal. Folks on live can see me now, because I'm trying to find out. There was a particular moment where I'm like, I write like really big, like WTF, Tammy, like make up your mind, like um, and going, but yeah. So I struggled myself as Tammy was struggling with the idea of accepting it, but also yearning for that sort of um, attention that we don't see women. And I'm not speaking about this personally, but that the discussions that we're having around the gender wars, especially in the Black community, and I think both men and women were missing that side of each other, that devotion to one another. And God dang, girl, you definitely get it with the wolf pack in Winter Moon. So, so one thing I wanted to talk about, as one of your, this is your debut in this
Yes.
series, and there are always little quirks about self-publishing, things that you may have done better. Either if Taming Kane was in a second edition, or as you're writing and progressing the story in the world of Winter Moon in the upcoming stories, what are you changing about how you write? What are some things or areas that you saw that you wish you were like, I wish I'm going to do better, or change that in the next novel, or areas of improvement that you want to work on as you continue to hone your craft?
I wish there was. I wish that Taming King was a bit longer. I
That.
wish I could have said more, like the prologue. The prologue. I wish it was
Mhm.
a little bit more depth to that. Probably have people like, what is going on here? But at the time, I did not think that Taming King would be doing what it's doing now. So it's really a surprise. Um, I would like to. give more explanation on the world.
Mm-hmm.
The Great War is still, there's still questions. What happened? Why did this
Mm-hmm.
curse happen? And who lifted it? So I would like to expand on that and give more explanation of the backstory.
And I think you can find room for that in some of your upcoming stories in the
Yeah.
series, but as well as there are always second editions. Folks come out with
Oh,
first
yeah.
editions, special editions all the time. And that's what I would have liked. One of the main uh, points of constructive criticism that I would give, and because I wanted more of it, was I wanted to see more character building. There was a lot of character building by way of just interaction with the the team and the other characters in the group. But the even the self reflection to me seemed like it was always focused on someone else, and so I really would like to know more about those 1,000 years that formed the Kane that we see today. But like you said, you are building an entire world, and so that just keeps us chomping at the bit for more. Um, okay, so let's see here. Well, we already mentioned this a bit, so I don't think we need to talk about that one. Let me get a check on the time. I'm going to check in the chat room here. We have a few folks making sure they write down. Hi, Coffee Quills. Thanks for joining tonight. A few folks writing down some of the authors that we recommended, that you recommended, Tessa. I'll be getting the full list of reading recommendations from Tessa and be posting it to booksandbounty.com. So look for that in the next couple of days. And Tessa will be rounding up here pretty soon. So, but one of the last things I wanted to ask you about um, was about the Charming Gabriel. Without giving us too much, one, talk about the writing process for that, because I know it was a rapid writing process. April, you started writing Taming Kane. That came out a few months later. I contacted you as you were writing Charming Gabriel, and in the process, I think midterms or you were classes were starting back up again. So tell me how you've juggled, and what's in your routine that helps you juggle the balance of being a mom, a full-time student, and now this rising romance writer.
Um, I don't think I found a balance yet, but
Girl, we all
I
keep
think
trying.
so. I started writing Taming Kane in April, and
Hmm.
like it was finished, and it was being, like editing, rewrites and things like that. And I was following the rapid release, so I sort of had a head start on Claiming Gabriel, but I
Hmm.
needed to finish it. And you know, what I did was I set a pre-order up for the second book. I didn't think that, because it's a debut, I didn't think anything would come of it. But when it started to sell and grow, I went ahead and opened up the manuscript and just finished it.
I'm trying to
So
see now how many pages I read on Amazon. What was your last total? I know you posted it on TikTok.
my last total was like 2.5 million, but now it's like at 3.6 million.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Um it feels really, I'm still processing. It feels great, but I'm still processing
Hmm.
because it's a day, this book came out, Taming Kane came out, and it had no following whatsoever. It's just a debut author. So this is like, it feels like a stroke of luck. Or I was in the right place at the right time.
And that is some of it, but I'm gonna remind everybody about those two things, some of those three important things that Tessa did at the beginning. One, she knew she had a story. She didn't know where to begin. So she went to people to help give her direction. She applied for a scholarship to a writing conference, took a leap out on faith, got it, hooked up with some bookish friends, other authors in the industry to help guide her, did research on the market and the genre that she was writing in, and really prepared herself to enter the market at full force. So, Tessa, we're going to be wrapping up here in the next couple minutes. And I always ask my special guests before we leave if they can recommend any bookish things, people, or events. So if there are any upcoming events in your life that you want us to check out, any other different reads that we should. I know we have a lot of recommendations for different authors to look at, or other things in your world that we should know about. Please let the viewers know.
Um, well, I have a short story. These are fan-based short stories that want to know more about the side characters. So probably next week, and it's just a short story. It's about Tristan, the bear shifter that was in Taming Kane, and he also
Liked
appears in
him,
Claiming Game.
yes.
So yes, he's getting his own story where he finds his fate in me, but it's just a short story.
Oh, that's going to be lovely. Now you're going to be putting that on the website, tessastone.com. How can we get hold of this
It
short story?
will. I'm going to publish it on Amazon for a time under Kindle Unlimited, and I guess it will. I'm thinking of a series to call it because I've gotten a lot of fan made emails of they want to know about Kate and Leah, they want to know about Tristan, they want to know
Uh-huh.
about Damon. So now
Uh-huh.
I have all these short stories to write.
Well, look, if you need some beta readers, Steph's over here
Okay.
to help you out. You want to throw around, have a little group working session on some titles for that series. I'll be happy to be involved and be in the room, because I really, really enjoyed this book. Tessa, it was lovely having you tonight. I want to continue this conversation and keep track of your journey and story. And I know everyone out there does as well. Can you let the viewers know how to follow you and where to look out for you?
um, I'm most active on my social media. Everything is at author Tessa Stone.
Mhm.
That's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. It's all the same at author Tessa Stone.
Yes.
And I also have a Facebook group that I share with Melody Lynch and El Medeiros. It's called Black Voices and Paranormal Romance.
I actually might have joined that today. Romance. Let me put this in the chat for everyone. All right, Tessa, I really look forward to meeting everyone else in the Wolfpack and Winter Moon, as well as the other residents and supernaturals of Winter Moon and elsewhere. Thank you so much for being a special part in turning the page with Books and Bounty TV tonight. Everyone, make sure you follow Tessa Stone at author Tessa Stone on all social media platforms. You can visit her on her website at www.tessastone.com, as well as find out more about her upcoming series. Her books are available in ebook form. You can also order it on Amazon. And Tessa, I believe Taming Kane is about to be out on audio, or already came out on audiobook.
It's I was acquired by Podium Entertainment for audio, and
Okay.
so it's a 3 book audio deal. Taming Kane, Claiming Gabriel, and Saving Jacob will all be in audiobook format.
So for all you audiobook readers out there, you can enjoy this series as well, the Winter Moon series by author Tessa Stone. Tessa, thank you so much for joining us. If you want, I'll be going on a brief intermission. Everyone, stick around for part 2, where I'll be chatting about what's on my to be read pile, what we're previewing in our upcoming November December series in the graphic novel, as well as updating you guys on my reading goals and what's going on with booksandbounty.com. Again, Tessa, thank you so much. You have a great night. If you want to stick around for part 2 and enjoy the chat, you can go ahead and queue up Twitch. I'm sure folks will still be in there waiting to chat with you.
Okay. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you for having me.
Thank you so much, Tessa.
Okay. Bye.
Stick around. We're going on a short intermission where I'll be talking about some upcoming events for Books and Bounty. We'll be going through the November TBR pile. If you have any recommendations for what should be on my reading list, what should be in the TBR pile, please let me know in the chat, or you can email me directly, Steph at Books and Bounty. So refill your tea, take a quick break, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes. to Books and Bounty TV. I'm your host, Stephanie Henderson, here in the virtual Books and Bounty TV She Suite. On part one, if you just missed it, we had author Tessa Stone. She is the writer of an awesome dark paranormal romance series called Winter Moon. It's a Winter Moon series. This first debut novella, some would argue, Taming Cain, was a juicy read, a perfect mixture of ice and spice to get you ready for the upcoming winter season. It's some very, very juicy parts. I mean, I am not a prude at all, especially if y'all know me. I'm really not. But there are times when, like, even doing the sexy parts on screens and cameras, I'm like, we can fast forward through all that. I'm not a voyeur in that kind of way. But honey, I could not put the pages down in Miss Stone's first story here. And kudos to Tessa for taking a leap and stepping out on faith. Tessa saw an opportunity for a writing scholarship at the 20 Days to 50K conference. Make sure you guys check that out. Was able to win the scholarship, full expenses paid, soak up all the knowledge there, get hooked up with some bookish and other writers community in her community, such as Melody Lynch and others. And also did her research to figure out what is best for her in the market, how to understand what the tropes are in romance, etc. Some of the same research that I had to do to get ready for the interview tonight, and also to understand what I was getting myself into with my first romance read. That's something that I forgot to, I'm not sure if I mentioned that on the first part, but this is really wholeheartedly my first romance novel. So I was a bit skeptical, I will admit, at first, because that is what Book Talk is bombarded with. But I saw a TikTok where someone who was a lover of paranormal romance and dark fiction could not find an author in that category, but found Tessa Stone. Tessa just started writing this book and came out with it earlier this year. Charming Gabriel is the next title in the series, and there are many more adventures to come in the Winter Moon series. You can follow Tessa at author Tessa Stone, so that's at handle author Tessa Stone on Instagram, TikTok, and check out her website, tessastone.com. I'll be glad to talk with Tessa as we learn more. There are tons of other side, characters who need their own main character energy in this book, so I hope you guys check it out and enjoy them all. One of the things I mentioned, and before we dig into wholeheartedly part 2 of the show today, I want to give a few shout outs to a couple of folks here at Books and Bounty. First, our first giveaway winner was announced last Tuesday. That is D_Drizzle18 on Twitch, and D_Drizzle18 is part of our Bookish Brigade Discord server. He is our first giveaway winner, and he is the lucky winner. I don't have all the books right on hand with me. They're scattered in the she suite here. But D Drizzle is the fantastic winner of a brand new spanking set of the Legend of Orisha series. So these stories, Tomi Adeyemi, if you are a fan of fantasy fiction, these stories are based on West African mythology. They took the by storm a few years ago, so much so that Paramount Films picked up the film rights to Children of Blood and Blown a couple years ago. They should be casting for that if they have not already soon. I really, really enjoyed this series. I am trying to get into book 3 among all the other reading that I'm doing right now. But check out Tomi.Adeyemi on TikTok. She's very active on social media as well, and engages her followers and fans with writing challenges and sprints. So please check out Tomi, and congratulations to D Drizzle. Congratulations to D Drizzle for being the first winner of for being the winner of our first giveaway here at Books and Bounty TV. That being said, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger right now so you guys can see it. We are going to be doing another giveaway in November. For all of those on Twitch, you already done the first part of your job. You followed us on Twitch, but you also need to join the Bookish Brigade Discord server. You can find me at Books and Bounty on Discord as well. This server, we are just getting, we'll be engaging with more content and more activity. I hope to start hooking up. I was trying to do it tonight, but I hope to start hooking up the Discord voice channel with our live streams so that we can have some call-ins with authors. We're actually working on the format of a new show that's going to be more call-in format, industry professional related. You can call and ask myself and other industry experts questions about publishing, and the industry market, and the business behind the scenes. So if you're already following on Twitch, you're doing the first part of the job. Make sure you join the Brookes Brigade Discord server, and hang tight there for more content. Just doing those things and you will join. Hi, Cypher Robinson just joined. Cypher Robinson, if you guys don't know, go ahead and check him out. He is another creative, a creator in the creative category on Twitch, the writing and reading category. There are not many of us out there creating content consistently in this channel. Michael Psycho is one of them. Michael Psycho Live. Cypher Robinson is another one who he is a screenwriter and novelist. He does a lot of live writing and editing on screen. Actually have some work sitting in my inbox as part of to be one of his beta readers. I'm actually going to dig into that tomorrow morning, Cypher. So you guys, Cypher Robinson just joined the chat, and he would, so make sure you follow him to get some more tips for other writers up there. It's always great to build your network and community, as what I'm trying to do here at Books and Bounty. So thanks for joining, Cypher. Let's see, who else? So what else happened last week? We gave away, we announced our first giveaway winner, and then we also met Nicole Butler of at Butler's Book Bag. That's on Instagram. Nicole Butler is a lifelong educator here in the Baltimore Metropolitan Reader. Nicole Butler is a lifelong educator, advocate, literacy advocate here in the Baltimore metropolitan region, and she also is a facilitator and host of a silent unsilent reading meetup here in Baltimore. So check out Nicole at Butler's Book Bag. You can see my conversation with her last week. She talks about where her love of reading started, as well as her upcoming project called the Hadithi Project, which aims to develop youth into digital griots. So I'm going to pull up a couple things on screen now. Again, there's the giveaway. You guys make sure you join. You're already following on Twitch. You join the Discord. You automatically enter to win, and you'll be able to pick from your choice of titles from the October or November Reads and Recs list. You can read the full recap of Reading Recs reads and recommendations from October on booksandbounty.com. I also have the full bookish recap from October where we meet all of the bookish people, go back through all of the bookish events and things that we reviewed or featured here, either in the live stream on booksandbounty.com or Books and Bounty TV, as well as those featured authors from the Traveling Book Nook. If you guys didn't know, Books and Bounty wholeheartedly is an editorial production and content development company. You can learn more at booksandbounty.com. We not only house Books and Bounty TV, but we also have the Traveling Book Nook, which is a cozy space that I take from conference to expos and even private events, showcasing authors, bookish products, and other things on display, including inviting authors to the Traveling Book Nook to have signings and sell their books. So check out more, booksandbounty.com, if you have any questions about any of that, or if you just want to give me recommendations for what should be featured here on Books and Bounty TV or booksandbounty.com, you can email me directly, steph@booksandbounty.com, or you can follow and DM on any of the social media platforms at Books and Bounty. So tonight's second half will probably be a little shorter than what we're used to. I want to, again, give a special shout out to our partners over at BeMoreNews.com. Earlier, I was talking to you guys about an upcoming soiree, which is the culminating event in the Joe Mann's Black Wall Street Award. But before we get into that, I want to take you to Tessa Stone's website and let your imaginations go a little bit wild with those alpha male characters that we were talking about, those shape-shifting wolf. You all can see that, what you're looking at now is author Tessa Stone's website, tessastone.com. As you can see here, Tessa is building an entire new world and dark paranormal romance in her Winter Moon series. It starts off with Taming Cain, which is what I have here tonight, uh, as well as the next book is Charming Gabriel, and she's working on some others as you see it flashing through your screen. You can sign up for free bonus scenes. I just want to scroll through here. This is Tessa's, looks like her Instagram. So you can make sure she is at author Tessa Stone on Instagram and TikTok. But I want to scroll back to some of the beginning images of Tessa's Instagram. So you can see, let your imagination run wild a little bit with some of these characters. I mean, look, the women are gorgeous themselves, but I want to show you the fellas. Let's see. Here's my Instagram. Let's see who I've been stalking. All right, so here's the one. Is it this one? Look at that. Look at that. So that's Gabriel. Look at that. Look at those eyes. What? What? Look at that. There's another one. I don't know if it's on. That says TikTok. Oh, that's a good picture that I wanted you guys to see. Here we go. There's Jacob. Tristan is the bear shifter. Tristan is a side character who probably is well deserving of some main character energy of his own. So I know Tessa just let us know that she's in the process of writing a short story. And you guys, oh, let's see. Cypher Robinson and Coffee Quills are chatting. The story side of video games. That's actually something my child is interested in doing, is actually the content development in video games, guys. So that's what Coffee Quills and Cypher Robinson are talking about in the chat right now. But yes, check out author Tessa Stone. I think that was a great conversation. I'm looking forward to much more for this from this up and coming writer. Let's see. All right, next things next. Some upcoming things in the Books and Bounty world. My longtime mentor, Donnie Glover, as well as CEO and owner of BeMoreNews.com, publisher of BeMoreNews.com, is having the annual Black Wall Street Soiree, which is the culminating event in the Joe Mann's Black Wall Street Award series. I was honored myself with the Joe Mann's Black Wall Street Award. I was honored myself with the Joe Mann's Black Wall Street Award earlier this season. Donnie, like I said before, has been a mentor of mine for over 20 years. Some of our content from booksandbounty.com and Books and Bounty TV are syndicated and reposted to his network among Black USA News. You can catch his Emmy-nominated show every weekday morning at 9 a.m. He also has New Life Recovery Show with special guests most weekdays at noon. There are also some big things coming from BeMoreNews.com and Black USA News Network. I'm be so excited to share that with you when I can. But check out the soiree. Go ahead and buy your tickets. You can go to bemorenews.com to learn more. You can also search for the event directly on Eventbrite, where you can buy your tickets. They start at $20, but there are also some sponsorship packages out there. So make sure you check that out and support my longtime mentor. When I put out the call for Books and Bounty and let folks know, I probably got a call a half hour later, and all it was, Steph, what do you need? So support my friend, my longtime mentor, and one of the powerhouses in journalism and publishing here in the Baltimore metropolitan region, BeMoreNews.com with Donnie Glover. Also want to give a shout out to J&F Enterprises, LJ Speaks. Let's see if I can, hold on, pull up. J&F Enterprises specializes in professional development writing. You pull up his Facebook page. This is Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., also known as Dr. LJ Speaks. So again, this is the event page for the Black Wall Street soiree. And Dr. LJ Speaks and myself are working on an upcoming bookish event that I'll be glad to tell you more about as we finalize those details. So this is something that I want my entire bookish community to be involved in. So again, make sure you guys are sharing Books and Bounty with your friends. And big things are coming, and I'm happy to partner with Dr. McKenzie and J&F Enterprises. So check out those two partners for Books and Bounty. And then we're going to be digging into part 2. So we have about 25 half a minute hour or so left in the show, and what we like to do in the second half is to go over a little bit of what I've been reading and working on. First, I'm going to switch over to booksandbounty.com. where you guys can learn more about our professional services. You can learn more details about how to enter the giveaway. Again, you just need to be a follower on Twitch and join our fledgling Discord server, the Bookish Brigade. And then here we have our October recap. So you guys can get a look back of all the Bookish Things events and people we met in October through booksandbounty.com. You can take a look at our first traveling book nook where we featured authors such as Kendall Lanise, Stefan Folks, author of Project Blackbeam. This is a great work in Afrofuturism, a dystopian United States in 2091. Considering what the results of this election may be tonight, this book may be more of a reality. This book may be more of a reality than what we would hope for. I'm going to just move this out the way real quick. But Stefan actually visited us, and he was a featured author in the Traveling Book Nook. He was there signing books, selling books, and fellowshipping with the people at the Black Wall Street Expo, which is hosted by Notre Maison Connects annually. I also have posted our October reading recap, where we give all the reads and recommendations from October. This includes not only the things that were in my reading list, things that I have reviewed either online or on booksandbounty.com, but it also includes all the reads and recommendations from guests of Books and Bounty TV and others featured in the Traveling Book Nook. So you can catch that and more. Our October reading list is full of spunky reads. Spunky. Spunky reads too, but spooky reads. It focuses on horror, dark fiction, science fiction, and more. I also have links to some of the highlights for some of the live streaming events. Books and Bounty TV was at the Baltimore Book Festival. This is actually one of my first live streaming affairs where I was able to fortunately meet Glory Edom, who is, if most of you will probably know her as Well-Read Black Girl. She was there in conversation with the Baltimore Banner's Leslie Grace Jeter, who also has a book coming out in January. Can't wait for Leslie's book. So I was able to live stream from the Baltimore Book Festival. We also talk about meeting some folks in the bookish community, such as Jaleesa Whitley of Book Trips and Emma Akban, the Black Girls Horror Guide. I was able to live stream the first club meeting. This is a book club in Cinema Club for horror, dark fiction, and war. And so that was a really, really fun meeting. The conversation with Emma was lively. She really contributed to some great spooky reads and recommendations. So let me see if I can pull up the full list. Where is it? So yeah, so all of our, as you can see, We have short story collections in the list, many of short story collections. I think for me, horror is most digestible in short story collection form. We actually just binge watched. Emma, if you're watching, we just binge watched Chapelwaite. I don't know if you saw that. It's based on a Stephen King short story. Oh, that was a spooky. Let me just check in the chat here. Oh, we're talking about the election night. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't even know if I want to turn to the chat. Let's see. Christmas zombie musical. Christmas horror. Ho ho ho. Okay. Coming up on the holidays. Let me know about it. So Cypher Robinson said, "Election night makes me want to pursue an idea I have for a thriller revolving around the push for term limits, but fears that some nutjob would do what my story entails." So I was just talking to you guys about Stephon Folks and Project Blackbeam. Started writing this book before Project 2025 was anywhere near our conscious thought. Um, so they may do it anyway, Cypher. Go ahead and write the story. All right. So if we keep going down the list here, you'll see plenty more fantasy, and we even have some fiction and nonfiction featured in this list. So check that out, booksandbounty.com. Let's see what's next. Okay, so what you see right now is my first visit. Let me back up a bit. Coming into November, I was trying to think what series did I want to focus on. The genres that I am most comfortable with, the genres that I have the most experience with editing and writing, are literary fiction, particularly historical fiction, scholarly works, short stories, and fantasy. I have not. I thought in my mind, I was like, I don't think I've ever written. I don't think I've ever read a complete graphic novel from the beginning. I've read some comic books. Like I said earlier, my teenager Jay is a wholehearted fan of manga, comic books, graphic novels. They soak up reading and literature probably at a rate far beyond what my older attention span can handle. Oh goodness, we're still talking about the yeah, politics and stuff. Florida. I don't even want to. I have been dissociating. I voted. I sent my mail-in ballot and did my part. Encourage others to vote. I hope you all did too. Good night, Cypher Robinson. Until next time, I hope to catch you on your live soon. Yeah, F politics. um, I don't even want to begin to talk about. I'm not gonna say I'm intimidated because I ain't that type of girl to easily get intimidated, but the anxiety it gives me how many Trump flags are waved around in my neighborhood so proudly. And they don't even say things like make America great again, like whatever. It says take America back. From who? From who? And is that a threat? Anyway, we're not going to get into politics. Right now, we're here to talk books. And we're going to keep it, well, I mean, hey, graphic novels actually are one of the best ways, I think, and probably the most, honestly, the direct ways people discuss social, like writers, graphic novelists and artists, are political, social uh, commentators, analysis. They give it, I think, inherently through their work. A lot of the work that I've seen in the graphic novel world so far, although they stretch far, far into fantasy, they don't stray too far from making connections in our real world. I'll talk more about it as I get into some of the graphic novels that I've been reading. But I wanted to oh, coffee close. It's only 1 p.m. where you are. I wonder where that is. So, I thought that I hadn't read a complete graphic novel from start to finish, and I can't believe I still don't have this in my collection. It makes me worried. Like, is there a whole box of books missing somewhere? But it's Persepolis. This is not the cover of the book. This is cover of the film. But I wanted to bring this up because it talks more about the plot and history behind Marjane Satrapi's wonderful, wonderful, poignant, impactful graphic novel, Persepolis. The story itself, it says here, following a young girl as she comes of age against the backdrop of Iranian Revolution. It is a graphic novel in the historical fiction genre. And I actually read this book in college, not because I was assigned the book, but someone, I'm just going to say it, my child's father was horrible at English. He was going to fail and had to get through this book in order to pass this class. I read the book, took the class. We got the book done. I helped him. I say I took the class. I tutored him through the class. And this was one of my first graphic novels, and I really, really enjoyed it. So when I was thinking about this series for November, I said I wanted to challenge myself and go back to graphic novels. So we're going to go through, I have some pages pulled up to go through what's going to be on my TBR list. I first want to give a special shout out to this person here, Grem. Shout out to Grem at Midtown Comics. You can find him, grem.world. He is also an aspiring comic artist. He works at Midtown Comics in New York. I actually stopped by their Grand Central location. I think I have Midtown Comics pulled up too. If you are a New Yorker or from that area, I'm sure you've probably heard, if not seen, Midtown Comics. When I went in there, it basically gave them what I'm interested in. I told them about Books and Bounty's mission, that we are on a mission to amplify women writers, diverse voices, and untold stories. And if I had to walk out of here with 2 or 3 graphic novels, what should I walk out of here with? So I went into a few bookstores and asked the same question, or looked around for some new titles that I thought would be interesting to me based on my own genres and fiction that I like, to see what we could find. So I'm going to start with the recommendations from Izzy and Graham at Midtown Comics. Thanks again so much, guys. Actually, I think we're going to try to get Graham on one of the upcoming shows, so we'll see how that works. So first, let's see, what do I have here? All right. This is actually one I will be reading later this week. This is Infinitum. It is an Afrofuturist tale by Tim Fielder. Let me get that up there one time. It is, get you all the publishing information. This published copyright is Diesel Funk Studios. Some other graphic novels under Tim Fielder's belt includes Maddie's Rocket and Black Metropolis. If I read the blurb on the back to you all, let's see. Afterworld by author, and there's an afterword by author Jaffa. I hope I'm saying that name right. I don't want to butcher that. Okay. So King Ajaoba and Queen Liwa are revered across Africa for their political and military skills. Yet the future of their kingdom is in jeopardy, for the royal couple do not have an heir of their own. When the king kidnaps his son born to a concubine, Obenrin, she curses Oba with the gift of immortality. After enjoying long, wonderful lives, both Queen Liwa and the crown prince die naturally, leaving the ageless King Oba heartbroken and alone. Taking advantage of Oba's vulnerability, enemy nations rise and kill the king, or they think so. Or so they think. Their mortal king, the immortal king, Ajaoba, I don't know if that's like the Adrinka symbol, Aja, Aya, Aha. I have to ask Tim himself. So once the king realizing the bitter fruit of Oberyn's curse, wanders the earth in mourning, searching for a new kingdom. His journey leads him across time and space into new galaxies as he faces harrowing decisions that will determine mankind's physical and spiritual trajectory. Beautifully rendered and emotionally evocative, Infinitum presents a unique cosmic experience addressing issues of racism, homophobia, gender inequality, the encroachment of technology, and the spiritual cost of war. Sounds like all kinds of subjects we talked about today while we were talking about the election, and while exposing the history behind ancient mysteries. Says Tim Fielder is a Glyph Award-winning illustrator, cartoonist, and animator raised in Clarksdale, Mississippi. That's not right. Oh, okay. lost my place there. He is the founder of Diesel Funk Studios. This is published by a studio that he founded, and has taught at the New York Film Academy and Howard University. His clients include Ubisoft Entertainment, TriStar Pictures, and Marvel. He currently lives in New York City. Oh, Tim, I was just up there. So I wanted to give a little bit. What I liked about this art is that here's a good example, actually. So this is the beginning page. Some of the art is, it very much looks like something you would find out of a film. The lighting is a huge tool that Fielder uses, light and shadow. So you have, again, the detail, and yet and then you come to a page like this of chaos. As a reader who really enjoys scene setting, being able to paint the picture, and as someone, even to this day, I tell you guys all the time how I'm a magpie when it comes to book covers. I still sometimes will pick up storybooks and be like, oh, where's the child in my life that I can read this to? And is it silly of me to want to buy this story, this child's book? But the art, the creativity, the artwork, um, is something that I really look forward to, and that I'm really looking forward to in this particular book. It's also a work of Afrofuturism. You guys know I love Black science fiction and fantasy, so I'm really excited to get into this one. Make sure you check it out. This is Infinitum by Tim Fielder. You can buy it online at all these places, but I highly, highly encourage you to check out your local independent bookshop or bookseller. So what's the next one that Grimm.world at Grimm.world recommended from Midtown Comics? Okay, now let's see. Oh, so next we have Skyward. The blurb is on screen, but I'll read it out loud for you. This one was recommended to me. I think this is this writer, one of the writers and artists of this series. I don't want to get it wrong. Okay, from writer Joe Henderson, who is a showrunner of Netflix's Lucifer, and artist Lee Garbett. Comes the story of one young woman's journey to find her place in a world turned upside down. So one day, gravity on Earth suddenly became a fraction of what it is now. 20 years later, humanity has adapted to its new low-gravity reality. And to Willa Fowler, who was born just before G-Day, it's pretty awesome. Who wouldn't want to be able to soar through the air? But there are dangers, too, and not just the fact that with one wrong step, you could go flying off the face of the Earth. Some dangers lurk much closer to home than she knows. What really made me pick up this book is that this is a story of the have and have-nots, the way Izzy, also at Midtown Comics in the Grand Central location, the way Izzy explained it to me, is that the haves, the ones that are upwardly mobile, are able to have the tools and mechanism to stay grounded, literally stay grounded, while the have-nots really have to fight tooth and nail in order to not float off into space, as the blurb says. So I have volume 1. There are 3 volumes now in the collection. The first one came out in 2018. So again, really excited to get into this as well. All right. Immediately, I have to say, give me any of them. Give me any of the ones that came out of this. So this is a Black publishing house that began with Frederick L. Jones as the founder. I'm going to read you a little bit from the about that we have up on the screen right now. It says, a lifelong anime, manga, and pop culture enthusiast, Frederick L. Jones loved the more adult-style action, detailed character designs, and outrageous plot lines that all went far beyond his beloved American superhero comics and cartoons of the 70s and 80s. This interest existed in a time where being a comic book fan was nowhere near as hip as it is today, and thus feeling a little weird and out of the mainstream was a typical reaction. So we read on, and after a decade plus career as an executive in the video game industry, Frederick decided to finally start his own company focused on his two loves of anime, manga, and new intellectual property. My Footprint, so it's MYFUT, My Footprint Entertainment, was created to assist in developing and marketing new manga concepts for up-and-coming creators from around the world. Let's read a little bit further along. And so he's continued to bring up artists who are interested in, who are diverse or interested in promoting diversity. Let's see here. Since the 80s, anime and manga had grown globally, but the racial diversity had actually diminished since then. Now, this is true. Actually, I was talking about this with Raph the other day. Characters like Claudia Grant became invisible, while characters who looked distinctly European were more and more prevalent. So with Saturday AM, Frederick Jones is doing his part, aligning and in line with the mission. Let's see, around amplifying voices of color. Oh, hello. Let's see, we have Toska Noshka just joined. It's first time chatter. Thanks for joining our live stream tonight at Books and Bounty TV. We're asking if we like Kindle. If I like Kindle, or the other folks in the chat, please respond to Toshka Noshka. I am not an ebook reader, but I do read ebooks. I actually just read an ebook, Outraged, by Brian Copeland, and wrote a review about it on booksandbounty.com. And a lot of ARCs or advanced reader copies today and age are sent in ebook form, which is fine. I do prefer hard copy. It's nothing like having that in your hand, and especially with these graphic novels on screen. It depends, because I've looked at some of the images on screen, blowing it up, and it's awesome. No, I do like the idea of e-readers. It's just that it's not my particular cup of tea. I haven't tried any out, and particularly, I know there are some that are more popular than others. So Tanashka, let me know what kind of e-reader you have that you like to read from. Kindle's one of them. There's new ones out there. I just use my iPad, the Books app on my iPad. But right now, and if there are any particular ebooks that are in the graphic novel world that you think I should try, please let me know. So Saturday AM Entertainment, what's so cool about them is not only do they let you know a little bit about the authors that are writing. So this one here, Yellow Stringer 1, is what I picked up. Well, you can't see it. Yellow Stringer 1 is what I picked up, my first read from Saturday AM. This is published in partnership with Rockport. And this is by story and art by Jeffrey Jean-Louis, with Frederick L. Jones contributing. This one is a graphic novel, unlike Infinitum, that is in the comic book manga style. It is actually a black and white story. And so I'm really trying to make sure I get a diverse look at the different formats, tools, structures, mechanisms, and genres that really take hold with the graphic novel. And so like some of the differences, so you just saw that one, Skyward. Again, it's more of the traditional comic book strips type of format. Oh, this is where I got it from. So this is where I got some of my graphic novel recommendations during our bookish trip in New York. You can catch a recap of that on Instagram and TikTok. And let's see, what else are the recommendations that I got from, so those three. So these are the three from Midtown Comics recommendations, which were Infinitum by Tim Fielder. I'll be reading that this week. I actually may even start reading that during our quiet reading time in a little bit. Skyward and let's see, Yellow Stringer. It's a mystery, investigative detective work. All right, the next, of course, you guys know I couldn't help but go. Oh, this is some of the other stuff from Saturday AM. I did want to show this. So this is some of the other uh, work and creations coming out of Saturday AM Studios. I think this one looks pretty cool. Clock Striker. But you all know, I've mentioned Snug Books on Books and Bounty before. They're one of the independent booksellers that are closer to my neighborhood, an area where I frequent. Another one is Dreamers and Make Believers, and we'll hop over to their recommendations next. Now Snug Books doesn't have, out of the 3 bookstores that I'm mentioning tonight, I mentioned the one in New York, and there's 2 that I'm going to be mentioning here in Baltimore. I have a couple more that I'm going to be visiting closer to the DC area. The Third Eye Comics, as well as Chuck's Comics here in Baltimore. Actually, that's close to Baltimore County, but either way, that's neither here nor there. Tonight, we're looking at some of the recommendations from Snug Books. I picked up one book from there, and this is actually a newer publication, unlike some of the other, now that I know that they're classics in the graphic novel world. So you guys, first, shout out to Snug Books. They're up in historic Lauraville. It's the cutest little storefront. And they are located on Harford Road, 4717 Harford Road in Baltimore, Maryland. They do not have, like I said, they don't have the biggest selection of graphic novels. They do have a pretty good choice in selection there. The curation there is top tier. And so when I went in, I wanted to ask, they all know that what I like to read at Snug Books, but I went looking around, and as I always say, I'm a magpie when it comes to good or interesting or striking covers. And this is one that caught my eye immediately. It's Ocultus by Laura Pérez. And Laura Pérez, I'm going to read a little bit more about this one. So this is a graphic novel translated by Andrea Rosenberg. It is out of Fantagraphics Publishing. And I'll read you, as you can read a little bit more on the screen here, but I'll read you the blurb because, again, the covers will attract me. And it doesn't mean like it has to be shiny or glitzy, it's just something about it that is unique and different. And I think the illustrated, the penciling technique, along with the colors that make up this cover, really caught my eye. So I'll read you the back of the blurb for this one. It says, within our visible world, there are hidden worlds full of unknown forces whose nature we cannot fathom. Occultus offers an array of stories that illuminate those occult intrusions upon our everyday lives. The hypnotherapy session sparks visceral visions. An ethereal presence proves oddly comforting to a lonely widower. Ominous red lights flash across the night sky. Vivid dreams, poignant symbols, fleeting sensations, all tantalizing glimpses into what lies beyond. Having beguiled readers with her previous graphic novel, Totem, I'll have to check that out if I like this one, Spanish comics artist Laura Pérez spins another web of magic and mystery in wispy pencil lines. And so I'll give you a little glimpse into some of that artwork. And it's like the colors are soft and a bit muted, but so saturated. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's stuff in here I would just want to take out and put as like a background. But then you think about the dark nature of some of the content and the storylines. You never think twice about that. I also like the use of, in music, they say the use of silence, right? In storytelling, It would be making room for the reader's imagination. Some of the tools and mechanisms that I'm finding with graphic novels that work in similar ways, it's sort of letting the artwork breathe a bit, changing up the dynamics of how it's formatted on the page, leaving actual blank space for the reader's imaginative wander. So this is another one. This is in the November TBR pile. All right, so that was the only one I got from Snug Books this time around. We'll see if any others come recommended from them on the list. All right, and finally today, the last stop I made over the weekend, and I'll probably be making a full post on social media about this, was Dreamers and Make Believers. Dreamers and Make Believers. So this shop opened up right around a little bit before, right around the time of the pandemic. And again, the work here at Books and Bounty is very mission driven. We're all about diverse storytellers. And Dreamers and Make Believers is a women queer owned independent bookseller who actually specializes in manga, graphic novels, and comic books. Jay and I had a comic book shop that was actually fairly close to our neighborhood. They moved maybe 30 or 35, 40-minute drive away now. There's Atomic Books up in the Hamden neighborhood in north central Baltimore, that's been around for decades, since I was young. But again, they're very far from where we are now as well. So when Dreamers or Make Believers, they're about 15, 20 minutes from us, opened up. We were really, really excited. We've been there a few times. I haven't been in a while, but when I know I wanted to make do a special on graphic novels, that I had to go to them and get recommendations. So shout out to Sam, shout out to Miranda. I'll be contacting someone this week because I want to get someone on to next week's show or show after to really talk about the literary mechanisms and tropes that are in graphic novels, how graphic novels are not a genre in and of itself. So that is something that I want to talk with someone in the community more about, because it's not something it's something I'm learning about. It's something that graphic novels I'm not an expert in. So shout out to Dreamers and Make Believers for making me comfort, for giving me plenty of good reads and recs on the list, and we'll jump right into a few of them. All right, the first one, so my child uses they, them pronouns. I have gotten better at it. Their grandma is the best at it. When it comes to transitioning to how your child would like to be identified and present themselves in the world, Jaden thought I could do a little bit more training. So I picked up this book, put it down, picked it up, put it down. They finally picked it up and put it on on the cashier's shelf when it was time to check out. And that is A Quick and Easy Guide to They Them Pronouns by Archie, Bongiovanni, and Tristan Jimerson. I think I'm going to be, because of the election today, actually might read from this. It is a short, quick read. If I talk to you, I'm going to read you a bit of the blurb on the back like I did the other ones. It says, Archie, a snarky genderqueer artist, is tired of people not understanding gender-neutral pronouns. Tristan, a cisgender dude, is looking for an easy way to introduce gender-neutral pronouns to his increasingly diverse workplace. The longtime best friends team up in this short and fun comic guide that explains what pronouns are, why they matter, and how to use them. They also include what to do if you make a mistake and some tips and tricks for those who identify outside of the binary to keep themselves safe in this binary-centric world. It's a really fun take on something actually that's quite serious. So I encourage you guys to look at this one, read it with your families, keep it in your back pocket for those testy Thanksgiving dinners that are about to come up. Why does that happen right after the election? Lord have mercy. But let's see, let's read a fun moment for here. It's going to start at a good time. Okay, for example, you can't assume someone's name by the way they look. What you mean your name isn't Bob? And when someone does make those assumptions, it's insulting. Yeah, but You look like a bulb, so I'm going to ignore your personal experience to fit into my own worldview. Also, my name is Tristan. I hate you. This is how I feel every time I'm purposely misgendered. In casually spoken English, we've been taught to use masculine or feminine pronouns to describe individuals, and it comes naturally. However, that doesn't mean it's right. I'd like you to introduce you to the concept of YOLO. Your original language operates within an ever-changing nexus of communication. Language is always changing. That's why we don't say forsooth anymore and why we call dogs doggos. So it goes on. There's a whole chart for your convenience of all the possible pronouns you could use and more. Um, the art style is really reminding me of those everyday Sunday morning comics. Saturday paper comics. All right, we have a few more to go down the list. Cosmokinghts. I think this is the best-selling graphic novel series at Dreamers and Make Believers. Just reading the blurb on the back of this, it's kind of like the introductory text is pretty funny. Here it is. Here's the elevator pitch for Cosmokinghts. For this ragtag band of space gays, liberation means beating the patriarchy at its own game. I stopped at space gays and was just like, what? Okay, give it here. Because what in the mess is going to go on here in this story? This is really, really fun cartoon style artistry and illustration. It's colorful, it's fun. Um, the pace seems to be exactly what's on the cover. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but some of it gets a little bit more detailed than expected. I'm trying to find a particular page. But just the colors, like, oh my goodness. That's just how vibrant that is. So, Cosmokinghts right now looks like it has 2 in the series, 3's upcoming soon. You can check them out. You can check out the series at cosmokinghts.space. So about the author, Hannah Templer. Cosmokinghts is written and illustrated by Hannah Templer. Book 1 was published in 2019 by Top Shelf Productions, which is an imprint of IW Publishing. Idea and Design Works LLC out in San Diego. So right now, let's see what the blurb is, a summary. I just literally got this one. I'm going to admit, I got this one because of the cover. I got this one and then strictly off the recommendation for Dreamers and Make Believers. Sam said this is their most popular series. So I'm going to read it. And it says, Pan's life used to be very small, work in her dad's body shop. Sneak out with her friend Tara to go dancing, and watch the skies for freighter ships. It didn't even matter that Tara was a princess, until one day it very much did matter, and Pan had to say goodbye forever. Years later, when a charismatic pair of off-world gladiators show up on her doorstep, she finds that life may not be as small as she thought. On the run and off the galactic grid, Pan discovers the astonishing secrets of her neo-medieval world and the intoxicating possibilities of burning it all down. That sounds like an adventure. All right, we're going to get through a few more here. Again, these are recommendations from Dreamers and Make Believers. We just previewed Infinitum by Tim Fielder, which is an Afrofuturism story. Science fiction, Black science fiction is dear to my heart. So another recommendation that Dreamers and Make Believers thought I should try is the Asiri series. The Asiri series, the Asiri, Volume 1. This is written. This is by Roye Akupe with Samuel Iwunzi and Tonyin Ajetunmobi. Ajutunmobi. Ajutunmobi. I am getting this wrong. So let's give credit where credit is due. Let's see. Creator and writer, Roye Akupe. Art is by Samuel Ewunze. Colors are by Tonyin Ajetunmobi. Letters, spoof animation, and cover art is by Sunkan. Do not want to butcher their names. Let's see if I can get it on camera. This is another comic book style, strip style. One thing that stands makes comic books stand apart from the graphic novels that oftentimes graphic novels are given in parts and chapters, just like a book. If you are, I would recommend, I think this, if you are a reader of Tomi Adeyeme's Legend of Orisha series, this is probably a good place for you to start with graphic novels. And then some other ones here. One was Bitterroot. This looks really fun, an adventurous story. It's really, really detailed artwork. And reading from on here, it says, once the Sangarais were known as the greatest monster hunting family of all time. Their specialty, curing the souls of those infected by hate. Oh, I wish they could come around today. Now those days are fading. A terrible tragedy has claimed most of the family, and the remaining cousins find themselves divided by their methods. But with the new breed of monster loose on the streets of Harlem, the family will have to come together to stop it or watch the human face fall to untold evil. And I quote, horror, conjure lore, and a demon-fighting dynasty in 20s Harlem, it's all here. The Harlem Renaissance in 1920s is a time in which I think that I should have been born into. I actually researched and did a lot of work during my studies at UVA on the Harlem Renaissance. I focused a lot of my reading and writing purposely around those artists, writers, and creators of that time. So it'd be interesting to take a sort of futuristic look back in time with Bitterroot. Now this just looked like a tough. She just looked like a tough girl, and this made me want to pick up at it. Talk about strong black feminist character. The Inquirer says, "Move over, Lois Lane. Abbott's on the beat." You know, with my background, a similar story like this, definitely would interest me. It's about a tabloid reporter, an investigative tabloid reporter, who is investigating a series of grisly crimes that the police have ignored. Crimes she knows to be the work of a dark occult forces that took her husband from her, forces she has sworn to destroy. So Eisner Award-winning and Hugo Award-winning nominated author Saladin Ahmed, who also wrote Miles Morales' Spider-Man Black Bolt, and artist Sammy Sammy Kivile, from Machine Gun Wizards, present one woman's search for the truth that destroyed her family amidst an exploration of the systemic societal constructs that haunt our country to this day. One woman's search for the truth that destroyed her family amidst an exploration of the systematic social constructs that haunt our country to this day. And with that, I will leave you with what I started with, that I have been finding that graphic novels get very much to the point when it comes to making poignant, timeless conversations around socio-political commentary and using current events, current times, using the graphic novel as a way, and the art in the graphic novel as a way to either flip that on its head and look at it from a very different and unique perspective. So we have the beginnings of a hefty TBR pile here for the month of November at Books and Bounty TV. And as we wrap up tonight, I'm just going to be going silent for a little bit, do a little bit of reading on my own here, and start looking through some of the books that I have in the TBR pile. So I'll take a little bit of a moment to chat with you guys. But until then, I want to thank you again for turning the page with Books and Bounty TV. I'm Stephanie Henderson, your host, here live in the virtual Books and Bounty TV She Suite studio. And next week, we'll be digging more into these stories and others. I'll let you guys know on Instagram and TikTok and elsewhere. You can follow me at Books and Bounty, who is to know who's going to be our next special guest, as well as make sure that you follow me on Twitch and join the Bookish Brigade Discord, where you can enter a chance to win any title of your choice from October or November Reads and Recs list. The full October Reads and Recs list and the October 2024 Bookish Recap are available to read in full at booksandbounty.com. You can also check a summary of the recap on last week's episode, last Tuesday night's live streaming on Twitch. Highlights are now up on Twitch and on YouTube. Reminder that you can only catch the full live streaming show Tuesday nights at 10 on Twitch. So make sure you tell your friends to come follow us here at Books and Bounty. Join the Bookish Brigade Discord for a chance to enter that giveaway. And let me know about any bookish things, people, or events that should be featured here on Books and Bounty TV. You can DM me on social media platforms at Books and Bounty or contact me directly, Steph at booksandbounty.com. Again, thank you for turning the page with us here at Books and Bounty TV. Until next Tuesday at 10, you guys, happy reading.